up in April, we've got our webinar with your good selves and our good friends at Microsoft and AvePoint to discuss AI, to discuss unlocking productivity with AI, but also doing it in a secure fashion. So we're going to discuss things like Security Copilot. But before that, I just kind of wanted to take it back a little bit and kind of understand, what have you guys been seeing? What are you talking to your customers about? How have you been helping them?
Yeah, no, and great to be here. Thanks very much for having us here. So, what it really comes down to a lot of the time is like the biggest question, I guess, we get is, should we enable it or should we deny AI completely? And I think that's, people are used to these quite blanket yes-no policies for their users within the organization. I think that's the starting block we tend to come with. To get more pointed to that, it tends to be this, should I be worried or should I be blocking ChatGPT? Because it tends to steal a lot of the headlines. And I think that's one of the challenges we've really got to come over is, ChatGPT being used as this synonym almost for all of AI, right? Where it's kind of similar, I suppose you could say, to we use cloud, when really you're going to be using hundreds or thousands of cloud applications. It's like AI is exactly the same now. It's pervasive in pretty much, every application you're going to be using. A lot of, it steals the headlines from a PR perspective. It bumps up kind of startup valuations and so on. So everyone's using it. It's in it. Pretty much most of the applications are already using. So yeah, we need to be able to give those kind of granular controls and not just blanket deny it.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like you say, it's coming into everything. It's not going to be a thing that sits somewhere else.
No.
It's going to come into all of the things we use.
Yeah.
Looking at those Gartner stats, what do they say? 60% of apps, productivity apps by 2028 are going to be replaced if they don't have Gen AI in them. And that's just kind of underlines that point, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's bonkers. I think because it gets fueled by like the workforce now. You've got a position where you don't really stand for crummy applications that don't do what you want them to do, right? So if that application doesn't do the job I want, it doesn't summarize something, doesn't give me the information quick enough, I just go and find something free or like cheaper or that's just going to do the job for me. And there's this, like you say, replacing applications. There's this whole augmentation of applications. So you might get something very obvious, like ChatGPT, you know what you're getting into. Bard, you know what you're getting into. It's quite clearly generative AI. But you flick to some other applications and it might just be a search bar that is kind of innocuous in there, but it's AI in like by the back door, and it's data leakage a lot of the time kind of by the back door.
Yeah, and I think, like you say, over the next few years, AI is all any of us are going to talk about. But kind of beyond that, actually, we're probably going to go back to a place where we're just talking about products and threats and applications, because it's all going to have some kind of AI built in. So I suppose that just underlines your point that it's going to need a granular approach. It's going to need sort of blended security. It's not going to be able to treat AI as one separate thing.
No, definitely. And I think so from like a security point of view, I think, if AI is going to be that pervasive, then so's your security policy, right? You can't have a security policy that you get tested on once a year or when you start in the first 2 weeks, and then it only gets reviewed kind of every year or never after that. So having that regular mental jog, I suppose, from an end user point of view, as they're using these applications to say, we can see you using generative AI. We're not going to block it, but does what you're going to do comply with the policy? What are you uploading? Think about that. And you'd be amazed how quickly we notice that users can start to kind of self-regulate in that kind of environment. And it might be as much as warning them. It might be the case of like getting them to justify, so the security team can then build additional use cases or find a new application or find a corporate instance of that application, or direct them to the corporate instance where, a lot of the cases with like these plans, when you look at the different plans that are available, you've got your public free one, you then got your corporate one, and then that data might not be being used to train public models and might be the better way to go here. So I think if you think AI is pervasive, let's get security and security policies just as kind of interwoven into that journey, because if you block someone, like they'll just pick up their phone
Yeah.
Just stick that data in there and do the same job, and you just don't see it and you won't have control over it.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. And I think, that's kind of what we're seeing working with customers at the moment around Copilot for Microsoft 365. That's all about, it's very user-centric. It's all about helping the users to adopt it, helping the users to understand it, and securing the data. But to take a slightly different track, Security Copilot is being released 1st of April, I think it is. Do we need security analysts anymore? Do we need anything else? Is this it? Do we all just go home now?
No, definitely. I think this is all about augmenting their experience, right? It's the same way kind of EDR and XDR tools got us mined everything through ML and allowed us to kind of tear through vast amounts of data. This is what kind of the additions for Security Copilot that Netskope are developing, for instance, is all about. So it's all around allowing, say, junior SOC analysts to query all of the telemetry that Netskope is able to pull across data, applications, the network, to say, is this user, have they triggered DLP policies? Are they have they triggered any particular alerts? To just get to those kind of nuggets, if you like, just so much quicker. It's like, search bar kind of on steroids, if you like, from that point of view. So yeah, it's all about helping them do their job quicker, faster, kind of more efficiently, so they can get to the threat sooner.
Yeah, okay, all right. So we're still all around for a little while yet then?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you notice, a lot of people, I think it was another Gartner stat, was around the number of virtual assistants in meetings. So I know a lot of people are pushing virtual assistants into meetings.
Just to touch on that one quickly, because it blows my mind. The Gartner stat is by the end of next year, 25% of all meetings are going to have some kind of virtual AI assistant in them. Hybrid meetings or online meetings, not face-to-face, we're not there yet. But I know it's not your world, but just as a concept, it's mind-blowing, the pace of change, isn't it?
I know. And luckily, I don't get too much of it in my meetings. I don't know if you do, but because a lot of mine are more around, let's solve a problem, let's build a content plan, let's talk about this event we might be running or so, and have a problem. So I think there's definitely merit in there from doing the stuff that we don't want to do, like summarizing meeting notes or creating transcripts, right? That could have a great benefit, I think. But if you're running kind of sentiment analysis or mood analysis or something like that on people, you really need to be telling them so they can review policies beforehand and kind of get comfortable with it. And I think a lot of AI use comes back to data as the foundational piece. So think about why this stuff is free or cheaper than having someone sat there writing meeting notes. Do you want your boardroom meeting notes every quarter ending up on a server in a country that may not be compliant, or that you don't want that data to be there? There may be some great efficiencies there, but is there a kind of hidden cost that you don't want to be kind of liable to and exposing the business to? So I think that's a good rule. Is it too good to be true? Then there's probably a reason why stuff is free a lot of the time, and it's up to us to understand what that reason is.
Makes sense. I think, we've said it a few times, AI is going to change everything, but in lots of ways, lots of the kind of the core fundamentals for IT teams and traditional enterprises are much the same. So taking the right approach to security, taking the right approach to data, taking the right approach to allowing users to be productive but secure are what it's all about, really. And I guess ultimately that's what we're going to be discussing on the webinar. So hopefully everybody can come along, join and hear what we've all got to say.
Yeah, fantastic. I know that's fundamentally kind of what it really boils down to a lot of the time, is kind of what have you got? Do you know everything that you've got, what everything's running across the business, what data's going in, what's coming out, where is it being stored? Those are kind of the critical elements. But like you say, it's no different than onboarding kind of any new application or any new vendor. It's all part of that kind of due diligence, inventory, and then governance around what your use is long term.
Well, I look forward to discussing that more with you, more with Microsoft, more with AvePoint at the webinar in April, where we'll unpack this in greater detail, talk about how people can help protect themselves, how they can unlock productivity, and how they can be more secure in the world of AI.